Based on his entrepreneurial programs, what are all several national and international honors which he received, that I think that sets up the context of the class. He got IBM Global Volunteer Excellence Award, ISB's Top 15 Social Innovations, NASCAM Social Innovation Honors, Top 4 Social Innovations, Vodafone Mobile for Good Winners, JP Morgan's chosen 5 non-profits for leadership through philanthropy, High Impact Social Entrepreneur 2017, a national award from your story of BITS Global Alumni Association Global 30. So please give a round of applause to sir for whatever he is doing. In the year 2005, while studying at BITS Pilani, Rajasthan, a group of 10 students founded Nirman as a youth movement against the literacy, poverty prevailing in the country, with inspiration from Abdul Kalam's clarion call for making India a developed country. Mr. Mayur Patnala is the founder of Nirman organization. Their main focus areas are education and employment, and they have through their 12 flagship programs, which are no poverty, quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, climate change. Nirman is associated with many partners, include central and state governments, more than 40 multinational companies. So, sir, without much ado, please join us on the dance. Thank you.
Talk about social entrepreneurship. Each one of you have received the reading material with you and the time plan, minute to minute time plan that we have built up. If anyone did not receive this material, let us know so that it is received. Okay, thank you so much. It is a very emotional, definitely moment for Team Nirman, and for me personally, Mayur Patnala representing Team Nirman, to speak to all the young officers, young leaders of who are going to build this New India 2050. So it's a pleasure meeting all of you. Thank you for having this opportunity for me and for Team Nirman to talk to you, all of you. My name is Mayur Patnala. I am son of Harihar Rao and Roja, and also my teacher, our Vice Chancellor, Professor L.K. Maheshwari from the University of BITS Pilani, where we have studied. Our sincere gratitude and regards to my parents, my teachers, and also all of our Nirmanites, teachers and parents. My father is no more; he is not at this point of time with me. But if I am speaking, if any Nirmanite's work is speaking, it is, and we got some moral authority to speak to you, and we got invitation to speak to all of you on social entrepreneurship, it is only because of our parents' support. So especially to my father, thank you so much wherever you are. So now, good afternoon everyone. It is in the year of 2005, while studying in the college of, one of the colleges in Rajasthan, that is BITS Pilani. In our third year of engineering, I was doing my B Honors Mechanical and B Honors Computer Science then. In our third year of engineering, few of us came together, and that was the time Abdul Kalam ji was speaking about Developed India 2020. Do you all remember? During the 2005 time frame, that's the time where he was speaking prominently about Developed India 2020. So that was when a few of us got together and started to slogans on our campus, college campus. So the college campus we had some slogans of teach 1 hour per day for the nation, save 1 rupee per day for the nation. So when we started this, few of our students started teaching Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 1 hour each. We started a small evening school in our campus, and we started teaching rickshawalas and mesbayas, because in Rajasthan we were told in our campus that due to money lenders, they are not having this basic literacy and there is this cheating that's happening, and along with them they also brought their children. So we started teaching, and we also started collecting 1 rupee per day, 30 rupees a month. So all of us started collecting that amount and started doing service activities in the campus. And one fine day, almost for a week time, Kashiram Kaji, who is one of the rickshawalas with whom we are teaching, stopped coming to our classes, along with his child. For a week, because we developed good amount of affection, so towards the child especially, we went for the first time, stepped out of the campus. Stepped out of the campus. Ours is a green lush campus, like many other universities of Osmania and many IITs and many universities across India, many colleges. And into the deserts of Rajasthan, we went to the village, went to the house of Kashiram Kaji. That's when we have understood that Kashiram Kaji is not coming specially because he met with a backbone accident and he is on the bed. And that is the first instance we have witnessed the crashing of a dream of a girl child. Because when the father got affected, immediately the girl child dropped out of the education, and the girl child along with the mother started going to daily wage. Started going to daily wage and started earning for the family. We all said, this is really unfair. We were having sleepless nights when we came back, especially because we have seen that this Kashiram Kaji was really having roti, which is almost made 2-3 weeks back, with lot of flies out there, and there is achar. We understood that because we are all from middle class families, my father is a teacher, and so as my other students and friends, their fathers are farmers, or at least we haven't seen utter poverty in our respective states or home communities. And that's when we have seen the utter poverty in that village. That's the name still, it's Dandar and Raila villages in Rajasthan. In that village, still from 8th to 9th class, there is a lot of alcohol, and there is, whenever there is a delivery, there is no proper health care that is given to the mothers. So there is a lot of issues there. We went inside the campus and have started a campaign inside the campus. We started putting the pictures of whatever the food that this gentleman is eating versus whatever food wastage that we do in the campuses. We ran a campaign with photographs, clear photographs, and to each and every room, wherever our students are going, without switching off the lights or fans, we started putting small stickers there saying that save energy, save India, and also small captions like, by 1/3 of the only population will have access to fresh drinking water inside the taps. So that's when when we came back to the campus, we thought, not just doing something for the country, but let's build a youth movement. Now Nirman is being definitely called as a non-profit organization, but we always take pride in calling ourselves as a movement, youth movement, because at that time we were not aware of an NGO registration as well. I am talking about 2005. So when we ran this campaign and we invited the entire campus students, faculty, and also we have booked a room of 30, but we have witnessed an audience of 120 to that room. Everyone is coming, along with the Vice Chancellor, have participated in that, and we had to change the room to have the capacity of 120, and that's when we have decided that we will focus on illiteracy and poverty of this country, and we'll start doing something. There are two things that happened. Number one, people said, you're doing a good job, you do go ahead. And there are second category of people, as always, have challenged us and said, this will go off, this movement will go off, this is a voluntary movement. Don't claim big words like illiteracy, poverty eradication. You're neither a daughter of Tata nor a son of Birla to have those thousands of crores of rupees where you can do some impact. I'm sure when you're attempting your IPS, when you're attempting your own civil service, many of your own people would have challenged you. But as a youth, whenever we are challenged, the best comes out of us. And After 15 years, by 2020, we are very, very happy to say that small group of 10 students in a college have become a large group of 300 full-time people plus 700 volunteers, a 1,000 large army which is working in 8 states of India. The same thing which is talked about, say 1 rupee per day for the nation, you are talking about 30 rupees a month of student contribution, and you are talking about developed India. It doesn't relate, people said, but the same thing turned out to be every year now. Nirman, with the help of various corporates, various individuals globally, brings in a 15 crores of annual donations and contributes to the society. And the same 25 children whom we are started with in 2005, now we talk about touching 1 million lives in the last 15 years in 8 states of India. Definitely this is only because of the support of our various people, and it has built as a youth movement. Here we are today to speak about social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship in India, challenges and opportunities. Here we are today to talk about very key concepts. We were invited by DG sir of MCHRD, thanks to him. We started our conversation with All India Service Officers and also CCS officers from 94th FC. November 14th is our first conversation that we had with All India Service Officers, around 140 of them. And it has received a good feedback, especially for the conversation, that we very well know that as young leaders, we work with youth day in, day out. So we know that young leaders like you do not like theory. You are always into action. And fortunately, we only have different practical case studies which we will be able to showcase to you. Hence, we felt that in our reflection, the last FC, whatever conversation we have done in social entrepreneurship was successful. We would like to repeat in the next 1 hour 30 minutes, I believe. If it's a total of around 4 o'clock, then we are at 2:30. That means another 90 minutes, 91 minutes, we are going to have conversation around social entrepreneurship, all through case studies that were presented. Now, there comes a conversation where why is this social entrepreneurship topic at all is brought to various All India Service Officers. That's definitely one area where people will start asking that question of why this social entrepreneurship is relevant as a part of the FC. Our proposition is the following, that there are 3 questions that majorly we will be discussing throughout this conversation in the next 90 minutes of time. Number 1, what is the definition of a social entrepreneur? When do you call someone as social entrepreneur? When do you call an idea as social entrepreneurial idea? This is the first question that we will be discussing in the next 90 minutes. The second idea that we will be discussing is, can a civil servant be a social entrepreneur by being in the service itself? The third question that we will be conversing with you all is, why is it necessary for a civil servant to have a collaboration attitude to work with various social entrepreneurs and also civil society organizations to do a social impact? So these are the 3 questions that we will be talking in this conversation. And this particular reading material has 6 to 7 pages. The first one talks about what all we will be covering and we will be conversing regarding the children, social innovation case study on government schools development, and regarding career guidance, is there the case study where how a social innovation which was observed at a grassroots village, how a social entrepreneur and a civil servant like you could make it to the global level. And similarly, organic farming. Anyone from Chhattisgarh here? Chhattisgarh? In the morning there are. Okay. Okay. So there we work with 10,000 farmers to do organic farming. So these are 3 case studies on which we will be working on. We will be discussing on. And for every case study or the social innovation that we will be presenting, the next 2nd to 6th page is all about session notes 1, that is programs for children. A clear study has been given to you. And then session notes B, it is special program for career guidance. And session note C, especially on the youth. I am told that this particular batch has majority of IPS officers. How many of you are IPS here? Any other services? Indian Postal Service, Indian Trade Service? How many of them are from other services other than IPS? Okay. What are the other services, may you know? Indian Postal Service. Okay. And finally, there is a feedback form which we will be using at the last. Okay. Now, by the end of the session, there are 2-3 takeaways which we assure you from this session. For you, definitely this is one of the many FC sessions. This is one of the many FC sessions that happen in your FC. But for us, it's a great opportunity to interact with you and see the future course of collaboration. Let us start this journey with the first session, that is session A, that is on the children. Regarding the children, we started with working with I was doing my BRS Mechanical and Computer Science, so as my friends. And when we first graduated after working with Europe, we came to IBM here. We got placed in IBM in Hyderabad. We started with a school with the name Kottaguda School. Anyone from Andhra Pradesh or Telangana here? In Hyderabad specifically? Okay, great. So, Kottaguda School. Then we went to the school in our volunteering time as a part of IBM and also other Infosys, Cognizant. Anyone who worked with various corporates before entering into the service, may know which corporate you worked with?
I worked with MakeMyTrip, Verizon, Tejas Networks.
Fantastic.
I worked with Infosys for a couple of years.
Okay. Anyone else who worked with? Yeah, please.
Cognizant Technologies.
Fantastic. So it is this Cognizant, Verizon and Infosys. All of them are our partners now. So by pulling volunteers from various corporates along with IBM, Verizon, Infosys and Cognizant, we started exploring to solve one strong problem in that school. The school, which has 300 children, is being able to produce only 18% pass percentage. So that government school in Kottaguda, Hyderabad, which is just beside the high-tech city, so-called high-tech city, only 18 are the people who are graduating from the school. It really shocked us. And we are very, very happy to share that after working with, after a few years, along with our volunteers, we are able to increase the pass percentage from 18% to 84% in the school. The 300 children who are there, the enrollments have increased to 1200 children now. And similarly, Deepa, who is studying 8th class, 8th grade in the school, is able to compete with private school children to win Spelby competition. Dhanvantari, who is studying in 9th grade in science, he is awarded special award on science project that he has done on Outer Ring Road, ORR, an energy efficient system he has brought. Similarly, Vahini, she has won national volleyball competition in the school. So, while working with one government school, while observing this, we thought if we are able to do it in one school, let's scale it up. We have done a design thinking workshop and we have understood what are the 5 to 10 points which we have done and we tried to scale it up. So Infosys came forward, Wells Fargo came forward and told, Wells Fargo Nirman, we will develop this school. So we have started working with 7 schools with Wells Fargo. Synchrony Nirman started working with 4 schools in government schools. Microsoft Nirman started working with establishing a skill center. When the students graduate from these government schools, they get into these skill centers and they get trained, and after getting trained, they again get placed in one of the global workplace or self-employment and they contribute back. How beautiful it is. So what is evolving is educate, employ, give back is the model that we got evolved. Educate. So we work with government schools. We currently work with 5,000 government schools across 8 states of India. And then employ. So they, after getting educated, they get trained with one of our skill centers. And so Karthik, who got placed into TCS now, is again sponsoring one more deserving candidate from the government school. Harini, who got placed into Infosys, is again has committed 2% of her income, monthly income, towards the development of her own government school for a girl child. This is the beautiful story that got unfolded. What we have realized is the government school children have talent and hard work. Many of the times their dreams are smashed not because they lack talent, not because they lack hard work, but only because of the opportunity that is not available. How many of you agree with that? Are there any of you have studied in a government school? Great. So we started our belief and conviction around this system that government school children have complete talent and hard work, and if we are able to give good opportunity to them, definitely they will become super leaders who will lead this country. So that's how our journey has been in terms of solving this particular issue. So when we found this, we applied this social entrepreneurship approach. That how do you solve this completely? We started with solving at one particular school and we scaled it up to 100 schools. So I will take you through some presentation. Before that, let us have this conversation on what in your view is social entrepreneurship. Can anyone talk about, in your way, in your definition, what is social entrepreneurship? One of the officers?
Providing social goods and services in a sustainable manner, where the profit is not the first motive and can be second because you have to maintain feasibility. But generally, social goods and mostly which is generally provided by government or the public agencies. So if the individual does it through his organization.
Yes, your good name?
Okay, Sachin.
And which state you are alerted to?
Manipur.
Okay, fantastic. So, social entrepreneurship is all about the social good, take profit, getting the back seat, etc. Now, anyone else who will give the social entrepreneurship definition in your own way? Right. May I know your name and which state cadre?
UP cadre.
Okay, okay. Thank you. One last deliberation and viewpoint from any officer? Yeah, please.
Sir, in generally, as entrepreneurship, we decide about what we are going to do depending on the market size, depending on the profitability and other parameters. When we come to this, we decide about what we want to do depending on the need of the society, whether they need education, healthcare, or basically the core of the whole existence of the enterprise is depending on the societal needs rather than what the market is, what the...
All three of you, thank you so much. I mean, you have put it in the article in very better manner, and now we are able to. So for Nirman, we have evolved our own definition. These days, social entrepreneurship is something, the word itself is being misused sometimes to attract investments, etc. But social entrepreneurship, when people started calling Nirman to various platforms to talk about social entrepreneurship, we define this word in our own way, and that we want to bring it to you, all of you. So that is one. There are three qualifiers for an idea to be called a social entrepreneurship idea. Number one is the idea is doing a high impact, high social impact. Number two, is the idea scalable? And number three, is the idea sustainable? So high impact, scalability and sustainability, these are the three parameters with which we said social entrepreneurship idea can be explored. Now the second question, can a civil servant be a social entrepreneur? Yes, in what way, if you could elaborate your view.
By having public-private partnership in our spheres of work, we can certainly be a social entrepreneur.
Okay.
By involving the community is probably our sphere of work. We are in many ways trying to have some kind of contribution.
Fantastic. Thank you for that answer. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to answer on that?
So even
Yeah, please. Can you be louder? Yeah.
when an officer is taking an initiative on his district, on wherever level he's working,
Yeah.
and then that gets implemented as best practice across the country. For
Yeah.
example, Operation Muskan was about rehabilitation of children.
Yeah.
I think so. It was started by an officer on the individual level, on the district level. So it had the scale because it got implemented across.
Scale, it has got to scale.
It had the impact also because it reduced human trafficking. It was sustainable because other government officials also could implement it.
Perfect, perfect. So, fantastic. I think definitely I am told last time that 94th FC is about only freshers. 2018 pass outs, they have just completed academics and they have been into. And we are really very happy that we got a conversation now with the matured young leaders who already grounded. You're talking about that. Yes, a civil servant can be a social entrepreneur. The future is about a civil servant being a social entrepreneur. Why? Because I was in fact, last time in the FC, we were having 15 such services. With for all India services, officers, young officers like you, it is easy because you have direct interaction with the people. But all this, even a CCS officers can be definitely be social entrepreneurs. One such officer is from Indian Railway Service, and we were conversing. So it's like this particular officer got an idea during her tenure that in Indian railway stations there is no proper facilities available for feeding rooms. So this particular officer had tied up with various partners and has implemented this, has initially written to higher officers for the funding, but the officer did not get, then went ahead and collaborated with various others, piloted it, and then once it's successful, the government has appreciated and scaled it up across and started awarding proper budget. So it has become a straight-jacketed scheme. So there are many such officers who have taken up beyond their job. They have gone ahead and tried to come up with innovative ideas to contribute to the social change. A big clap for all of them. Officers who have been your seniors have done such work. including Praveen Kumar IPS and many such officers with whom we have worked. We have seen what is the impact they are driving. So the third question comes here now is there a necessity for a civil servant to collaborate with other social entrepreneurs and also civil society organizations? If yes, why?
No.
Is there a necessity?
You get expertise, you get experience with social organizations. You get expertise, you get experience. Plus, you work under some constraint like order service rules, so they can operate out of it and create better collaborations across other stakeholders.
Right, right. That's true. Any other answer?
The civil society people have more time to interact with people, sir. So officers don't have that time, so they can use that.
Civil society organizations have more time, they are on the ground and they have more time, so they can bring those insights to you. Yeah, any other answer?
Ideas. To get the ideas, you may have a vision, but how to implement it, to get more ideas, you need to collaborate with the civil society too. That's when you get to know what exactly can be implemented at that particular.
Correct, correct. Thank you, Murthy Garu. So there is fantastic collaboration that's happening around with your seniors and civil society organizations, which will showcase. So if do you all agree with this fact that either you are into IPS, IAS or IFS or IRS, any service in the future, if you are not upgrading ourselves to technology, we will be outdated? Do you all agree? Similarly, the future is definitely going to be a great place where civil servants, especially if we don't upgrade to the collaborative approach and have a collaborative mindset, there is very much possibility that if we upgrade, we will be doing wonderful service to the nation and hence to the global change. Because what's happening, I will bring forth very practical aspects, 2-3 practical aspects to your consideration. Number one, do you agree with me that how many of you already have been working somewhere and now into FC? Many of you, right? How many of you? All. Right. So you already got a glimpse of how a government service works. So let me ask this question to you, that when an officer gets a new idea to implement, how do you get the funds for implementation? While trying funds, because you're frontlining, and you are on the ground, especially young officers are on the ground. So you are the officers who will get the ideas for solutions, because you are the front facing of the entire government of India. You are the persons who you will see what is the problem on the ground and what is the solution. And are there any times where you know the solution but you don't have funds?
It's always there. I think the previous question that you were asking, how a civil servant should collaborate with the social entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
In this realm where you have an idea and given the amount of red tape and processes that are involved in the government service, the execution might take time. So in order to make a prototype, a pilot, at a brisk pace, with the most optimum technology and available expertise, I think it is there that the social enterprise come into the picture.
You nailed it down. You nailed it down. Thank you so much for that. You nailed it down. That is where, see, I was conversing with Divya Devarajan IAS, who is my batchmate, Nirman volunteer, now the Principal Secretary of Women and Child Welfare in Telangana cadre. I was conversing with Vinay Anna, who is an IRS officer. I was also having conversation with IPS Prakash, who is my senior, coincidentally, on these topics basically. So he nailed it down in the sense that so many times what happens is Government of India or state governments have straight-jacketed schemes, and many of our ideas, innovative ideas, do not fit there. So now it is your collaborative approach and your network of social entrepreneurs and organizations, different organizations that you have in your individual network will come to your rescue. You're aware of many people, many instances where you can quickly pilot those ideas with the help of the social entrepreneurs or with the help of civil society organizations, show it to your governments, your senior officers, make it, they will in the future make it as a straight-jacketed schemes and funds are awarded. There are many such schemes where society got, larger public got benefited, especially because of the innovative ideas of the officers. There is one important point. Second important point. Last time I've seen presentations, PowerPoint presentations, and many of your junior officers of 2018 batch felt proud about, and we are all proud about, our parents are proud about all of you, each one of you, because you have cracked one of the world's toughest exam called civil services. And we are sincerely proud of that. And that means we as a society in India, we are able to get best of the best brains to work on the societal problems. Now comes the issue. Now, for the sustainability per se, every officer, that is each one of you, is transferred from one place to another place. Am I right? Do you know that many of the innovative ideas that you all take up in your service actually don't get implemented some of the times after you get transferred from that place? How many of you know that fact? How many of you know the fact that once you get transferred from one place to another place, unless it is a straight-jacketed government scheme, your own innovative ideas will get paused? Yes. That is where, again, this civil society organizations come into play. They will continue your good work. They will continue your ideas on the field.
So one thing, sir. I'm not sure about where you work in Telangana or anywhere, but the thing you're explaining is quite idealistic. Because in government, you're saying that we are the front face and we are the officers. But the issue is, most of the fund we get are not up to ideas that, not for the ideas what we are doing,
Okay.
but for something else. So one thing is that either we should have the guts to divert that for our idea.
Right.
First thing. But if you do that, then you will face the
Audit issues
objection
and
all
all.
these
Yeah.
things. Second thing, you have to do some jugaad. Like you have to have a license with different agencies or something you do and get something. But if you're doing that also, you will get the repercussions from your immediate boss or your boss to boss boss. Something that why in the earth you have to do all these steps to put in your idea. And for example, if you got some fund for your idea, that the fund for a particular idea depends on which platform you put that idea.
Correct.
And which boss you put that idea.
Correct.
So it is not the ideal environment actually. You are right that we are in the front face and our ideas are right. But issue is, it's not that ideal or that easy as
It's
it
not
was.
that easy. The next part of I agree with you, whatever you're saying. But many of the good practices and many good projects have come this way. For example, the SHE teams, Barossa centers, and many such
Actually,
things.
sir, one more thing. I'm not countering you about the face of Telangana and the fund you get in Telangana is completely different.
Right.
But that environment
state
is,
cadre you-
I'm into Kerala cadre. The cadre itself is have all these social goals at peak. But still, if you have to do something, the funds and things are not that easy.
Right.
Everything is materialized, everything is digital there, everything you put, you get it on time. But the issue is, it's not that easy.
It's not that
If
easy.
you do
We
a
work-
small
we work
diversion,
with that.
if you put a small diversion there, and you face the repercussions, and you will face not only the repercussions of being diverting the fund, you will face vigilance inquiry also. So it's not that easy
Sir.
and.
So in fact, I'm not, okay, let me put it this way. So that part will be easier. Yeah, please.
Yes, regarding the funds, Emma is speaking. She's speaking specifically about the funds we get, police as such.
Correct.
Because we are definitely on the lower side when compared to funds with other departments.
Right.
But I guess if you have an idea, the point where you are coming from, you can always approach the district administration who are actually known for that. For example, if you have to develop your own police school, you can go to your district administration, the DM, or for example, when I was working in Ghaziabad, there is Ghaziabad Development Authority. So I've approached VC there. So that is part of it, and they can contribute because they have funds for that.
Correct.
So there are two things. The funds which we have, definitely we are bigger on that, we don't have much. But to generate funds, we can always go to the concerned administration.
Concerned administration, and also, so I'm very clear.
The issue is not
I'm
about
I'm very clear.
The issue is not
one
about
clarification.
administration, because administration itself has many checks and balances.
Right.
It's not easy. If you go and ask a collector that I am going to do this, give me a fund. They are happy to give, but issues, they also have their ifs and
Checks and
buts.
balances. So one small clarification. We are nowhere talking about as a IPS officer, you are IPS officer. So diverting a certain fund which is for a certain scheme, diverting it to your own ideas, this is not what we are trying to articulate. We are sorry if we have been misunderstood. But what we are trying to articulate is that there are avenues which you can utilize, because you are constrained by, many a times you are constrained by non-availability of funds for your ideas. If you want to develop a school or you want to come up with a new idea, there are, if you collaborate with civil society organizations, social entrepreneurs, they will be able to bring and facilitate many other funding avenues, is what we are trying to say. Now let's get into the examples. So where we will showcase all this, whatever we are proposing now. So there are three. Now we have come to 3 points. One is, who is a social entrepreneur? What is the social entrepreneur idea? Number 1. Number 2 is, how can a civil servant be a social entrepreneur? Number 3 is, why should a civil servant can partner with civil society organizations and social entrepreneurs. So now we will showcase you various examples and case studies. Let us go one by one.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
it's just a request, rather than dwelling on examples too much, can you just talk about like how do you want to implement, like your experience, like you are in the field and this
Right,
context. So if you want to solve some problem, there are generally 2-3 approaches you will always narrow down it.
Right.
So what thinking goes, because you are an expert in this, you choose this and not this. I mean,
Okay.
that technical and feasibility, how you.
We will get into that. So these are the 4 goals, global goals with which we are aligned. So you can take Nirman as an example. He has also asked about, you talk about your own journey. So where it will throw some light on end to end. So these are the 4 global goals with which we work. That is no poverty, quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth. Hope we all know about the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So from 2005 to 2020, we have been working, Nirman has been working with a vision of national vision of achieving developed India. We have completed touching lives of 1 million lives in the last 15 years of time. Now we are stepping towards a global mission that is working and aligning from 2020 to 2030, that is 2030, as a part of global goals. So no poverty, quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, and climate action. These are the 5 goals with which we are working. This talks about, currently we are into Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Kerala. These are the 8 states where we are there. One appeal that we would definitely give is regarding this Give Back Champion. So, in your Karma Bhumi and Janma Bhumi, wherever you are working and where you are from, Nirman will be happy to partner with you to develop government schools in your places as well. This is the theory of change that we have at Nirman. So education, employment and give back. So very important theory of change in the sense, firstly on the education. On the education when we started the journey in 2007, when we got into IPM here in Hyderabad, we are working with a corporate. Then we started with the government school with the example that I told about, Kottaguda school. Then we started increasing the number of schools. And with this school adoption program, we understood that how to convert a government school into a model school, where it's turning around. And then the second problem what we have seen is, these children are not having basic computer skills or language skills, which are very much necessary for a government school child to succeed when they go to employment. That's when we started the second program called Disruptive Digital Intervention. So we started setting up digital labs in the government schools. With the help of Infosys and Nirman, started few digital labs. Wells Fargo and Nirman started few digital labs. So by partnering with various corporates and industries as a part of CSR, we are able to bring that. And the third thing which we have seen is, now till 10th grade, we have ZPHS schools, that is government schools are there. In these government schools, if we provide quality education, we will be able to render services of quality education to many of the children. But what about after 10th? Many of the children after 10th actually drop out of many issues. So then we started something called scholarships and mentoring program, where in scholarships we provide financial assistance to the children. And then mentoring, last batch FC, 94th FC, all of the 40 officers, all of them we have made as mentors to 40 government school children as mentees. So a beautiful bond, and it doesn't involve any financial involvement, but how we mentor our younger brother or sister. So like that we have all the corporate professionals and also All India Service officers who are mentoring these girl children. Not only girls but also boys. Then we also found out in 2009, I am talking about the 4th intervention in education, that's Vidya Helpline. In 2009, when we went ahead to, in Kurnool and Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, there are floods at that time in 2009. So we went ahead and adopted one village in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh. When we started that, we found out that when we were doing door-to-door survey, one of the women came and told, my child got medical admission, but do not have a scholarship. But when I am approaching middlemen, they are actually taking money but not giving right information. Can you help us out? That's when we felt, okay, when we gave the information, the child is able to get medical admission, and there are 17 unemployed youth in that village. When we spoke about a job fair that is available, that information when we have given, 3 of the 17 got jobs after ITI. So then we realized, okay, in our villages in India, maximum the youth depend on either the teachers or seniors for information on career related. Then like 108, how many of you know 108? It's a health helpline. It's a health helpline. Similar to that, we have started education helpline. It's a toll-free number with which we started. So, and actually we received till now 7.5 lakh calls to that, wherein every government school child or village youth call and ask, Bhaiya, I want to become an All India Service officer, IPS officer. I want to become an IAS officer. I want to become a pilot. Didi, I want to become a Indian Army. So like this, many of the people tell their dreams, and we help them in 3 things. So we help them how to set a goal with a proper psychometric assessment, and we help them in giving them guidance on what's next. So after guidance, okay, in government school, okay, there is a problem, and somehow this child is graduating of the government school, a proper goal is set, and it's going on. So now after entering into the employment, there are several issues that are faced. We all of us agree that the quality education, either in a college or in the college, the quality of education is okay. It's not to that extent where it's ready for industry ready. So that's where our second vertical comes on the livelihoods, that is on the youth skill development centers. Microsoft and Nirman together built a youth skilling center. HSBC and Nirman together built a vocational training center for women. So in these skilling centers, what we do is we train and place the youth, and we train and link the women to the markets. So that's what the work that we do in these skilling centers. We have our own brand called Threads of Hope. In Threads of Hope, we give the designs, and these women bring out those iPad sleeves, laptop covers, sling bags, etc. And we market those into various corporates and other markets and give back the profit to the children again, women again. And the last but not the least, we also work with farmers. So in Chhattisgarh and Telangana especially, we work with around 10,000 farmers. So where these 10,000 farmers are organized into farmer producer organizations. So where that's called Boom Gadi, where Adim is the brand name, where we come up with organic rice which is sold, and again the farmers are benefited. So this is the major theory of change model that is there. We will be sharing this work with you because this entire PPT talks about, this presentation talks about in schools.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
there is a 5 minutes break.
Sure.
We'll all take 5 minutes break and then we'll...
I'll just close this and yeah. So as a part of the school adoption program, till now we are working with 100 plus schools in various states of India, and then digital labs we are working with around 30 schools with 12,000 children with various corporates coming forward. We work every year with 380 scholarships every year. This education helpline where we support around 7.5 lakh children, and youth skilling, we have our own centers where we train, and women empowerment, and this is the Threads of Hope Sustainable Agriculture. We have student chapters in BITS Pilani, BITS Goa, BITS Hyderabad, and various other places. We have our own student chapters where continuously such social service activities are taken up on a continued basis. This is the volunteering that we talk about. Every month we have this Global Goals volunteering, wherein various departments, including IPS officers, IAS officers, IFS officers, they talk about various volunteering opportunities in their respective departments and various NGOs, and these volunteering opportunities we provide volunteers from various corporates and students. This is the Give Back campaign that we spoke about, where we can partner to develop one government school in your Janmabhoomi and one government school in your Karmabhoomi. And after the break, we'll be looking at the detailed way of how we develop a school as well. These are the various corporates with which we work: Microsoft, Synchrony, CA Technologies, OpenText, Entity Data. These are all come under CSR. So this CSR funds, the proposition that we have is that these are the CSR funds who will be very happy to come forward for any of the ideas that you have in your respective places. Thank you. We'll go for a break and connect back after 5 minutes. Thank you. The session with during our break we are conversing very interesting things. In Maharashtra we are already there. How to work with the development of the government schools is one we have discussed, and we also discussed on how to set up work on youth unemployment, youth skilling. So now this is about the schooling. So in particular, for example, in your own cadre, in your own state, if you want to work with government schools, one of your officers is speaking about police schools. These police schools can become something similar to the KV schools, Kendriya Vidyalayas, where best of the best education is provided. Let's see how Nirman does it. So this particular school adoption program. So can you go through this session notes 1A, that's called. Let's spend a minute on this session notes. So now we'll go into the case studies. So we'll start with the session notes A on programs for the children. We'll spare a minute. We kindly have 1 minute glance through that. Okay, thank you. So, in this government school adoption program, we are working with quality education and gender equality. This already I have explained, the life cycle of intervention, how a child starts with the primary school and then goes into the higher secondary, and we ensure that the scholarships are given, no child is dropping out, then enter into skilling and vocational training, and then into employment, and they give back. When we start studying a school, we call it something called need assessment. When a government school is taken up, we study how the infrastructure facilities are available in that school, number one. Number two, we study what are the academic standards of the children. Number three, we study what are the all-round development facilities that are available with the children, that school. So when you talk about infrastructure, so these are the various 10 points on which we do the need assessment. First 5 things are basics. So that is, usually in any government school, we have seen that teacher shortage is prevalent, clean and hygienic separate toilets are not there for the girls, so that's the reason many girls drop out, and hygienic and safe drinking water access is not available. Number 4, classrooms with basic amenities are not available. And number 5, a safe and good playground is not available. So usually these are the 5 things. Whenever we go to a government school, we realized that if we set right these 5 things, then automatically we have brought that school from a good standard in terms of infrastructure. And then, now let's go back to this academics part. I am sure as civil servants, we are all aware that there is something called grade level disparity within our country. In many of the government schools, if you go and study, there is grade level disparity. That means that an 8th grade child, if you go and test the learning outcomes or academic standards of that 8th grade child, many times we get surprised that the learning levels are equal to the 2nd standard or 3rd standard or 4th standard. That we call grade level disparity. So we address the grade level disparity with a concept called accelerated learning program. Accelerated learning program is very simple. While regular teachers teach their regular syllabus, we appoint teachers to complete the basics. That's we call accelerated learning program. And thirdly, as we already mentioned, class program for the all-round development. In a government school, we establish a C for computers, L for language, A for arts, S for science, and S for sports. These are the 5 parameters which we have seen that this is the best practice available. That if we are able to provide these 10 things in a government school, then the school will start trying to be on the best way. So that's how all the schools, wherever we work on this 10-point formula and accelerated learning program for the academics. Some of your officers have come and during the break and have asked where are the funds coming from. It's a very important concept. There are various corporates with which we partnered. Wells Fargo, Infosys, Inside View, State Street, UST Global, Cineverse, Infor, EPAM, Invesco. You name a corporate, it is into CSR. So, as Nirman platform, we are able to get around 40 corporate partners, which includes Microsoft, HSBC, etc. But as such, there is huge CSR funding that is available currently, and it is very important for each of your officers to understand this, how to unleash the potential of CSR in your respective districts. Are there any officers who are with aspirational districts who are working and allotted to aspirational districts currently? Niti Ayog's aspirational districts? Okay. If it is an aspirational district, getting CSR funding is more easy. This is one of the school where we have built. This is the Kottaguda school which we talked about, where we are able to turn around the school. Wherever we go, we involve the district DM, district magistrate, and also the SP and district forest officer, etc. He is our one of our directors. He is an IFS officer, Abdul Wahid. He IFS officer. He is full-time director of Nirman now. These are the kind of digital lab facilities that we provide in the schools. Nirman is part of the State Education Committee for Telangana, Government of Telangana. So we provide our expertise in various areas where we have built expertise over the 15 years. This is a very important one. In Andhra Pradesh, in the entire Andhra Pradesh, there is an education minister and also the commissioner of education, where our helpline, our education helplines, we are able to spread and do career guidance and life skills for 7.5 lakh children, providing our helpline. And specifically we have done for around 2.75 lakh children ourselves, directly going to each school and goal setting for each of the government school child who is there.
How do you identify the schools and who does it?
So in this particular case, initially we started with wherever schools are accessible to us, we started doing, and then we went ahead and started doing needy schools. In this case, we have done for all the schools, 5,000 plus Jilla Parishad high schools which are there. We have done career guidance because government came into the play.
Sir, I want to understand, like, when you start working in a school, how do they allow you to work? Like, first, there will be some resistance from local
Yeah, there is
teachers.
resistance.
So,
There is resistance.
Even like Praveen sir's case, we know the resistance and all this. And like, suppose you are implementing some, building some infrastructure, then what are the legal structure and like bureaucratic structure to absorb that fund? Like, one is you getting a fund, but a government official cannot just take a fund.
Right.
Everything has to be accounted for.
Yeah, these are the 2 points which are very, very important. So, which has brought, first thing is there is resistance on the school administration. When we are initially going, in fact, the teachers slapped the doors on our faces to start with. But as we grew, we understood that we have to work bottom-up approach and top-down approach. Bottom-up approach is keep working, keep contributing as a volunteer, build a trust in the community that you are serving. And top-down approach is go to the DM and, you know, from DEO, District Educational Officer, and the local police, everyone get their engagement into the events, etc., so that you will build a trust. That's the first one. Top-down and bottom-up together resolved. The second one is, you asked, like, you as an officer, you want to develop a school, and then you brought in an NGO, and what is that legal framework, right?
Yeah, for example, specifically asking, like, you said that you take classes, like, there's a great disparity. Now, any government school will have a fixed schedule, right? And RTA framework is
Right.
quite strict.
Right.
So now, how do you include your own classes into that framework? That's what I'm asking.
So, first and most simple thing is, if you find a school which has a proactive school leader, proactive school headmaster, the headmaster, him or herself will give you opportunity to work in a school, number one. The headmaster or the school leader will allot you the classes. Number two is, when you go to a different school, when you come with a DEO, with a clear letter, so headmaster will also give you the classes.
What will that letter say?
The letter says that so and so NGO is nominated for taking up these classes of life skills and career guidance. So these many classes may be provided to them. A district level or state level officer passes a circular and proceeding saying that. So when we started working at Nirman in 2007, we were struggling with all these things. But now, at that time, we don't have any district or state level governments talking like this. But now it was easy because we are already into committees. It's easier for us to give proceedings from the education department. It's like that. So because it's afternoon session, we actually, whenever we do this, when we go to a government school children and also the FCs, we do this exercise that we ask, are you ready? And this is an icebreaker. Everyone will say, oh yes, it's not this but this. So I will ask that question to all of you as well. I'm sure few of you at least will respond to this. So are we ready?
Yes.
We do this 3 times. Oh yes. No one is watching, so we can always do that. Are we ready?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead. We also have this something called leadership through football. So many NGOs, many non-profits come with innovative ideas and they bring value to you. Like leadership through football is something goes for girls that we partner with an international non-profit and implement in our schools. So this is majorly on the school option program. The next one is definitely will be of interest to you. We have 29 minutes to go, so we have quick 3 to 4 sessions. So this is on the session B, session notes B. If you can kindly go through this for a quick 30 seconds to 45 seconds, if you can go through. Okay, thank you. So let us get into it. So as a part of this Vidya Helpline, the career guidance program, this is one area where Nirman has expertise, or it can be a knowledge partner for any one of you in your respective places throughout your journey as civil servant, wherever you go. This is one easy pick where you can introduce career guidance in your respective schools in your district. So we have something called Tele Helpline Counseling. So that means toll-free number it is. It has a toll-free number to which people can call and ask. So it will be fantastic one. Second thing is career guidance workshops. We go to the schools and do this career guidance workshops. Third thing is there is a Career Sati program. That means that whoever are bright children in your districts, in each district we screen around 30 to 40 bright children who really are in need and meritorious, deserving, especially girls. We do close monitoring and we help them. How our parents helped us, we help them like that. So that's called Career Sati program. We already talked about it in the flood relief program. We have identified this need, and then it is a civil servant like you, Mr. Danakishore IAS, who was the Rangareddy district collector, DM, has identified and asked, many NGOs come and, he actually remarked this, many NGOs come and ask for funds. Now you have come and is giving a 7.5 lakh check for the Kottaguda school. You tell us your story, is what exactly the DM has asked. So then we talked about our story, our university story, our college story. That's when he got impressed and said, do you have any interesting ideas that we can implement in our district? We said, sir, recently this Kurnool floods happened and we want to incubate this particular project idea. That's where he told, yes, we are going to give you in the district collectorate office itself, we will give you a small space and you can incubate your project here. That's what he has told. So that's where you will see now how that single act of a civil servant has helped the society and the social entrepreneur. That's where the real role of a civil servant, an IPS officer like you, and All India Service officer like you comes into the picture. You will see now how this has gone global. How this has gone global. We started a telecounseling center there in the Rangareddy district, and we started putting posters of this helpline into the buses, right? In the rural buses, we started keeping the posters, and we publicized, we promoted this helpline only in the Rangareddy district. Ask me how many districts have called? 23 districts. All 23 districts of United Andhra Pradesh, we received the calls. Ask me how many other states have called? 5 other states, people have started calling and saying that, Bhaiya, I want to become this. We have our Telugu speaking people, and we had to upgrade ourselves for other states. Then we realized that, okay, here we are addressing a real need. Let us scale it up. Now let's see. We started going into career counseling sessions, Career Sati program we started now with Now we are speaking about how our program went from district to state to national to international. Now district, it is Divya Devarajan IAS, who is from our college, and now she has helped us in Bhadrachalam, Bhadradri, Kottagudem. One of the officers told me just now, saying that he is into Maharashtra. Already you are into Maharashtra, you are in Pune. How do you get into rural? That's what he has asked. You can help us get into rural. We both can partner together to get into rural. Now Divya Devarajan has done that. In entire district of Vikarabad we have done. Now it is B. Sridhar IAS who has helped us to scale it in Rangareddy district. It is Amrapali Kata IAS who has helped us scale in Warangal. It is Rajiv Gandhi Hanumantu in Bhadradri, Kottagudem. In Guntur Municipal Corporation in the state of Andhra Pradesh. This is in Rangareddy district, Raghunandan IAS. This is Mahabub Nagar district. Mahabub Nagar district is one of the most backward districts here in Telangana. Now, coming to the state partnerships, I am sure you are aware of this, your senior officer, R.S. Praveen Kumar IPS, Dr. R.S. Praveen Kumar IPS. We started a separate helpline called Swaros Helpline for social welfare children. It is specifically for the social welfare children. This is skill development helpline for the entire state of Andhra Pradesh, wherein in every village this number is publicized, widely publicized, wherein youth from various villages call us and seek job information. You know that, are you aware of employment exchanges? Our father's generation used to use widely, but now do you know that employment exchanges are not working so well? We are aware of that fact, right? So we started rejuvenating such employment helplines and employment exchanges. We started collecting what is called the local job employment. Where are the jobs? This is one question that we ask ourselves, and we collect that information. We put it for any youth who call. Any youth who calls us, we provide that information to the youth. This is tribal welfare schools. And here comes the statement, the state of Assam has invited Nirman to be the expert partner in providing career guidance. This is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. And we are very, very happy and proud to say that we won the National Vodafone Mobile for Good National Award, especially for being the best use of technology in solving a social issue. And what else can be a more fulfilling factor than this, that when you are working on something and you are made a part of the career guidance, national career guidance policy drafting committee itself. And this is the one, very close to our hearts. You know, many of you, when you are attempting civil services, people would have told you definitely that you will not achieve this. It is not possible with you. People would have told. Or they would have told you, you are doing some insane thing. You are not competent to do this. For social entrepreneurs also like us, many a times it happens. When I was quitting IBM, when I was saying that I was going on an honorarium of 25,000 to 30,000 rupees a month from whatever IBM pays me or whatever Europe pays me, many people saw me as insane. And it is my father, whom I talked about in the morning, in the early session. He is the person who stood by us, who said, no, you are doing this, you follow your heart. And finally, it is the IBM Global CEO who recognizes after you quit, after 5 years, and our Nirman project got this global award recently. Out of the 20 countries who applied, India for the first time won, and that too for this project. We felt proud, we definitely felt proud about this. There are various, includes Verizon. The officer here spoke about where does he work. He says at Verizon he has worked. Name a company, it is trusting Nirman platform and organizations like Nirman, and they are helping us. There are success stories where many youth don't know about various opportunities government provides. Like Nitham is a hospitality management chain that's free of service, but many youth doesn't know about it. He is one of the beneficiary of that change. So thank you. This is the session B. Thank you so much for the patient listening. The next youth and women are very quick ones. Maybe I will take 2 to 3 minutes, not more than that on each. And the last farmers one will be interesting, and that's where we close. So that's where we close the session. So there are 5 practical case studies that we have presented and curated for you. Let's start with youth one. And this youth one will be one aspect of this youth will be interesting to you. In the morning, who has addressed you? In the morning, 9:30 slot. Correct. So he partnered with one of our CSR partners, and in entire Telangana, there is some initiative he would have spoken about people-friendly policing. Did he speak about it? Okay. Anyways, it is through CSR partnership that our Honorable DGP sir is implementing a soft skills training for all the staff, police staff who are front-ending the citizens. So there is lot that technology companies and other CSR initiatives, NGOs can bring to your vision. DGP sir completely trained all the front-end staff of Government of Telangana's police stations, whoever are interacting with the general public, through soft skills trainers from CSR. Yeah, this is regarding the youth. It's very important. We work with government schools, and from government schools, these children come to youth stage and they are in need of employment. And you are very much aware, I am sure, that 60% of the current jobs which are there currently will not be there in the future. Especially because of the artificial intelligence and various things. Yes, government service will be there, but unless we train our youth to the future ready skills, they will not be able to have a good future. So these are the various technologies on which we contribute to the societal change. Because we have a Microsoft, Infosys, HSBC, all these corporate partners available with us, their employees volunteer to talk about and contribute towards building artificial intelligence systems. They do technology volunteering in providing intelligence systems whichever is required in your service for the public good. We personally we set up centers. Like I talk about Microsoft Nirman, like I talk about HSBC Nirman, we set up centers for 18 to 27 age group of youth. We pick them up and we train them for 3 months of time and we show placements for them. This is through Tech Mahindra. This is at Kukatpalli Center, and many of our earlier colleagues, they come and do mentor talks for them. We really feel proud, I think, when our own children get trained and get placed into Virtusa, Capgemini, Wipro, Dell and various places like this. The children from the government schools, majorly economically underprivileged youth who are getting into global workplaces, and as I told, educate, employ, give back. And when these children, again after getting placed, they again contributing back to the government school where they are from. It's a beautiful story, right? So I would like, let us all clap for all the children who are giving back to their government schools. At this point of time, I would like to bring forth to you a very, very important concept. Especially it is relevant to the IPS officers. Especially because now in this digital age, when the government school, children studying in government schools and children studying in private schools, both of them enter into job market, are going to enter into job market at once. And you very well know that in our own houses, even a 3 years old child knows how to pick up a mobile phone, and even without words, they can open YouTube. How many of you know about this? I don't know if you're busy in your service and you're not at your relatives. So, but that is the age where, digital age we call it. But our own government school children, they are completely digitally excluded. They don't have access to computers, they don't have access to the language and what's happening across the world, they're not aware. Now, think of a time when both of them enter into job market at once. At that time, this child will be completely excluded from the employment. And when this poor child, poor youth, when they don't get into employment, then there is a danger again. Because some of them, those are the people who get enter into terrorism, Naxalism, rapism, with the cases of incidents like Disha, right? So that's when more responsibility will come for especially police officers. So what we are saying is the development activity goes in hand. So if you are able to take care of them from now, during your police service, if you are able to take care of the children in the government schools from now, in the future, we will be arresting lot of social unrest as well. That's Kottagudem district collector. For the tribal youth, we are doing an experiment. There's all tribal youth whom we are experimenting with something called entrepreneurship. So these are the youth whom we are picking up and asking them, we are teaching them how to develop mobile apps, how to develop websites. We are actually developing that. And you will be happy to see that these youth talk about, I am a farmer's daughter. I want to build a mobile app which eliminates middlemen from the community. I want the farm produce to directly go to the consumers. There is a Jyoti from Weavers community in Guntur district, Mangalgiri. She talks about, I want to build an app which is for the Weavers community. So that is how we are using technology. We have our various centers here. Microsoft Tech Mahindra, RPGF, Capital and Hope Foundation. This is the youth program. I would request you to look at the session D notes for a 30 seconds glance.
I have a,
Yeah, please.
I'm just trying to take you a bit off track. Like skilling people is one thing, but I think the more bigger problem is that you don't have the absolute number of jobs.
Correct.
It's not commensurate with the available this thing.
Agreed.
You are doing what you're doing is better personal job organization fit, like you're skilling and all these things. So, any thought on like self-employment? Like,
Right. That's what I didn't get enough time, so hence I skipped that self-employment. We are talking about micro-entrepreneurship. India is in need of not of Ambanis or Tatas who will build huge enterprises, but India is in need of micro-entrepreneurs who can create job for himself or herself plus 10 people. This is the kind of model which we are promoting. What we are doing is we are using technology also. Now our youth, either we are promoting them into regular jobs into various workplaces, or if they are interested, we are also promoting micro-entrepreneurship. So whatever apps that they are developing, especially we are focusing on currently on entrepreneurship using technology. For now, we are doing that. So these are the youth who will build these mobile apps and present, and we are also funding few of them. Recently, we have organized in the same SK Hall, a Telangana State Young Entrepreneur Summit. Have you seen the Tamil movie with Dhanush? In Telugu we call it Raghuvaran B.Tech.
Yes.
So that's the model which we always, we are very happy to dream about, but we have taken the first steps on it. So whoever we are training and placing, we are pulling them up and we are trying to make them as entrepreneurs as well. Recently in the National Entrepreneur Summit, we got 2 prizes from our own people. So this is the women empowerment one, gender equality. We call it as train, transform, give back, triumph. We give them financial literacy, entrepreneurship development program, etc. for the women. There are women centers, especially in Pune. Maharashtra cadre, how many of you are there? Here? Maharashtra cadre? 2 of you, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. This is a beautiful brand called Threads of Hope. We built a brand. So the women make these products, and recently our alumni association happened. And my phone number is on the visiting card that has been given to you. In any case, it's 970.
Please do leave your feedback forms at your own places. They will take it up. And sir, you have given your
Phone number.
yeah. It's
Visiting card has been given, but in any case,
709-300-15.
Chande.